Good day. My name is Carolyn Stegman, and for 22 years I worked at MAC in various capacities, including as a consultant. But now I'm retired from MAC and a volunteer for the organization. MAC means Maintaining Active Citizens. It's the Area Agency on Aging, which serves Somerset, Wycomico, Worcester, and Dorchester County. And it is a nonprofit, private, run by a 16-member board. So welcome today to our MAC programming. I'd like to introduce a very special guest, another long-term employee of MAC, Terry Davison. Terry is the director of a program called MAP, which means Maryland Access Points. Welcome, Terry, to the program.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you for having me.
And let's define, first of all, what is MAP?
MAP does stand for Maryland Access Point.
Okay.
And MAP is an acronym for the Aging and Disability Centers located throughout Maryland. Every single county in Maryland has a Maryland Access Point site, and it's a partnership between the senior population and the disabled population. So here in Salisbury, it's MAC, and our disability partner is the Bay Area Center for Independent Living, also known as BASIL. So what MAP, or Maryland Access Point, focuses on is linking people up with health and support services so they can remain in their home or get help in the community to stay at home.
So what you're saying is disabled at any age can contact MAP.
That's correct.
But the other thing is that a lot of elderly people are also disabled. I mean, when you think about hearing and sight and all those things that help us to having good eyesight keeps our independence.
Oh, definitely.
And keeps our dignity.
Yes.
So when you start losing your eyesight through things like macular degeneration or hearing, which is so important. If you can't hear, you can't converse, and you get isolated and lonely. So that's disabled, and that is also older people. So you deal with that too.
Yes, and it's such a good partnership because, like you said, so many people just need a little bit of help, either with hearing or vision, or with a walker or a cane. So there's many disabled people that are elderly.
And so tell me how you partner with them. What do you do? Do you refer them to BASIL?
Well, luckily we're located in the same building. We're located and co-located at MAC Incorporated right here in Salisbury. And they have one section of the building and we have the other section of the building, and there's just a hallway separating us. So we do share many of the same clients. And if I'm talking to someone who would benefit from their services, it's a warm transfer. I just walk them over and introduce them to the staff at BASIL. And it's just been a really good partnership so far.
How much does it cost for a consultation at BASIL?
Actually, all of our services are completely free.
So even they can call you and talk to you for half an hour, it's free?
Oh yes, there's no fee. No fee involved for the service.
Then you refer them to BASIL, they can go in and have a consultation with somebody who's a specialist, and that's free also?
Yes, it is.
This is wonderful. Yeah. Okay, because a lot of people need it. So somebody calls you and they're having trouble seeing, and they're a fall threat, tripping over things and stuff like that. So they go over to BASIL and they can see things that can help them see better.
Definitely. They've got this wonderful lending library at BASIL. And it's this big room with all kinds of devices to help people stay at home. And the wonderful thing about this is people can borrow these items, take them home for 3 to 4 weeks, try them out, see if they work for them before running out to the store and paying a lot of money for an item that might not work for them at all. So this lending library enables them to take the item home, try it out, and then the staff at BASIL will help them find it as inexpensively as possible.
That's really nice.
It's very nice.
Also, if somebody has a stroke, and let's say they have weakness on one side, they also have some instruments there that would help them eat or get out of cars or whatever.
Yes, they've got all kinds of things. They've got telephones, tons of telephones that really help people. For instance, there's one telephone for people that have dementia that maybe can't remember the numbers on the phone. So this particular phone has pictures of their loved ones. So they push the picture of their daughter in case they can't remember the phone number, or the picture of the pharmacy that they're going to try to call.
This is really wonderful. So Terry, who can call you?
Anybody can call Maryland Access Point. It's available to anyone. Most of our phone calls do come from older individuals living in the community. Friends and neighbors can call, or people with disabilities can call. Church groups can call, friends and neighbors, just anybody can call MAP and ask any questions that they might have.
And they can say right from the get-go, I need help, I'm in trouble, I'm confused. So what if somebody calls and says, I'm confused about Medicare and insurance, my husband used to take care of it and now he's deceased and I don't know what to do. How do you answer a phone call like that?
We get phone calls like that a lot, Carolyn, because you know Medicare is a very confusing program. At MAC, we also have a senior health insurance program called SHIP. You'll notice that SHIP and MAP, they're all navigational terms that really help a senior citizen navigate through the system of long-term care supports and services. Medicare itself is very complicated. So if they can call MAC and ask for either SHIP or MAP, and they can get help navigating through that Medicare system. Is this a good time to talk about Medicare just a little bit?
Sure, go ahead.
You know, Medicare has 4 different parts. There's Medicare Part A, which is your hospitalization, Medicare Part B, which is doctors, Medicare Part C are Advantage plans, which group everything together. And then there's Medicare Part D, which is your drug coverage. Everybody that isn't covered by a private drug company or a private drug insurance should get Part D when they go on Medicare at 65. If a person, for instance, if you're not taking any medications, and you think to yourself, well, why should I get Part D insurance? I'm not taking anything. It would be a waste of money. If you don't choose to get it at that time, you'll be penalized for the rest of your life. So there's many plans that are very inexpensive. So if you don't get a Part D plan when you're first entitled to it, you will pay pretty drastically down the line. So every year people can change their Part D plans. A, B, and C not so much, but Part D they can change their drug prescription plan every year. And we really encourage people to do this because from one year to the next you might be on totally different medications. There may be new plans out there that are available that will be less expensive for them.
In fact, don't we encourage people to bring in their medications or at least a list of their medications?
We do. Every open enrollment period, which for Part D, it's October 15th to December 7th every year. A person can come in, review the different plans that will be available, and that's the time for them to make changes if they want to, for the new plan to take effect the next January 1st.
So what you're saying is somebody who's never really been involved in their insurance or their Medicare or B, A, C, D, and they're confused, they can call you up. They can have a personal appointment. They can tell you their medications. They can go to SHIP or whatever, all again free of charge.
Definitely, yes.
Thank you very much. That's very good. Okay, so tell me more. We've just talked about some of the issues of options counseling. Tell me, what is options counseling? They call you up and through the MAP program and you're considered an options counselor. What's that all about?
Options counselors have special training to meet with either an individual or a family or a group of the family members all together to discuss a person's options for staying at home. You know, most people want to remain at home like we all do.
So you're going to give them the list of how to do that, right?
Well, not only a list of how to do it, but we look at each person's scenario. You know, every family situation is different. They've got different income coming in. They've got different family support. You know, different physical needs.
Right.
So we look at all of those things. We look at the physical aspect of the person. Are they able to live alone healthy? Do they have a ramp if they need it to get in and out of the home? Do they have transportation to the doctors? Do they have transportation to the grocery store? You know, can they eat? Do they need Meals on Wheels?
So it really is an individual thing.
Oh, it's very individual.
Try and paint this person. Okay. So,
right.
So the physical is one. What about something like emotional?
Emotional, you know, is the person depressed? Are they lonely? Would they be a good candidate to come into the senior center for some socialization?
So as soon as someone, you would assess that someone is alone, that they don't have kids in the area, maybe the kids are in New Jersey or Western Maryland or whatever, and you're saying to them, who do you see every day? And they're saying nobody. That's when you would say, we have a senior center.
Right, there's a senior center. And you know, even though someone says they don't have any supports, they do see people every day. They might see their mailman every day. They might see their neighbor I mean, they could get a friendly telephone call from MAC. That's one of the services that we offer.
And we call them every day?
We call them every day just to make sure that they're doing well. But just last week I did have a phone call from a daughter who lived out of state, and she was checking on her 87-year-old mother who lived alone, and she had experienced a fall. And she's usually pretty healthy, but this fall really concerned her. So I went out to her home and visited with her, and we did an options counseling session. And we talked about the telephone reassurance program. We talked about a falls prevention class that's offered through MAC. We talked about maybe having her go into that Basel library and look at some assistive devices that might help her. We looked at the possibility of putting a ramp on her house and getting her a lifeline through the hospital. That's a button that you can push in case you fall.
Right.
So there were many things that we discussed that were options for her.
And this all started with a daughter calling from out of state. So you do get the calls from Missouri or Utah.
We do, and this might be a good time to put the plug in for the Maryland Access website, because you can get a lot of information online, and it's www.marylandaccesspoint.info.
And that'll be on the screen coming up before we leave this show.
Good.
Okay, so now we have the physical and emotional. Okay, what else?
Well, one of the biggest things we do is we look at the financial aspect of it. Now, some people are fine and they don't need help, but we help a lot of people who are experiencing financial difficulty. You know, Carolyn, a lot of times the phone call will come in, that's where it breaks your heart. I have a lot of medication and I can't pay for food if I get my medication, or I can't pay for my medication if I get food. There's a lot of people that live very frugally. And usually they do okay until a catastrophic event happens, like they have to have, you know, a new roof put on or a furnace replaced. So we have a lot of economic programs through the state and the federal government that can help people. And a lot of people don't know about these. So we'll screen people for any programs such as energy assistance, which will help them with their heating bill. We've got Medicare buy-in programs that might help them with their Medicare Part A and B premiums and co-payments. We've got lots of programs that help people with their prescription drug coverage that people might not know about.
I think there's a lot of people on the Eastern Shore that are living solely on Social Security or almost solely on Social Security. And they probably can just make it month to month between the checks until, as you say, the refrigerator breaks or they need new tires or something happens in their car, or it's July and they've had to turn the air conditioner on in order to survive the heat, and that's when they get in trouble.
Right, and that's what they don't know where to turn to. So I want everybody to know that, you know, you can call MAP and we'll try our best to help you and link you up with those services that people may not even know about.
And in the financial, so that might, for people that are in the middle class and have, you know, 401ks and are very comfortable in their elderly years, they would still call to find out about Medicare Part D and A and stuff like that, to find out about the assisted technology laboratories. So in essence, the service is for both those that are comfortably or not financially insecure and those that are.
Definitely. It's for everybody, because even if a person has resources, they might need help in the home. And there's a lot of programs out there that they could purchase to get help in the home. So we cover you know, a wide aspect of that.
Okay, I'm going to give you some scenarios. Tell me what you do. Somebody calls you on the phone and it's a daughter, and she said, my mother seems confused. She's changed. She's not remembering the names of grandkids. How would you counsel her?
Well, there's several things that we would do. We would suggest an options counseling session.
So you'd see her personally?
We would try to see her personally. That's usually the best way to get a really good feel for a person. We would suggest she go to the primary doctor to find out if there's anything else going on. If it is early dementia or confusion, we would suggest perhaps the Alzheimer's support group, which meets monthly at MAC. We would hook them up with the Alzheimer's Association, which is also located in our building, to see if there's any help that they could provide. We would let them talk to Joan Emmerich at MAC, who runs the Alzheimer's support group, and might have some different options on how to deal with some of the behavior that the daughter might find. She may want a list of sitters or a list of home health agencies.
Okay, so in essence, somebody calls you, regardless of their financial status, they know that they are experiencing stress because they have in their home or close by an aging parent who's got dementia or Alzheimer's disease, and that's stressful. I don't care how much money you have, and you can help them with that.
Yes, and a lot of times they just need someone to talk to and someone to vent with, and that's where the support group comes in handy, because these are people that are feeling and going through the same exact thing. You know, I think when you're a caregiver, especially for someone with dementia, the days just they're very long, and sometimes you're feeling very lonely and isolated. So when you're brought together with other people going through these things, they help each other out and give each other suggestions, and it's really beneficial to them.
Absolutely. I know. I've been part of those support groups, and having had a father who died of Alzheimer's disease and a grandmother also, I could tell you that talking to people that have been through it was very helpful for me.
Good.
So what if somebody calls you, let's say a neighbor or somebody from a church, and says to you, I think that Mrs. Jones is being abused by her grandchildren. I think they're taking her money. I think that they're being nasty to her, and please don't tell anybody my name. I'm just very, very worried. This is a wonderful woman, and I hate to see this happening. How would you advise her?
I would ask her to give the Department of Social Services here in Wicomico County a phone call. Financial abuse is on the rampage. A lot of people are almost afraid or embarrassed to mention that this has happened, even with scams on the telephone. If that happens to an individual, they're kind of embarrassed about it, and they shouldn't be, because these scam artists they definitely know what they're doing. But the Department of Social Services is one of our community partners at Maryland Access Point, so we would work closely with them to do an investigation on that.
And because a lot of times, Terry, don't we find that financial abuse or physical or emotional abuse is so often done by the family?
It is.
Not by an outside scam artist, although that happens for sure, but by the family itself.
Yes, family caregivers. And you know, the older person is feeling very vulnerable, and this is their loved one that's taking care of them, and they hate to pull the carpet out from under them or blow the whistle on them, because what's going to happen to them after that? So it puts them in a very precarious situation. But there is help out there.
And one of the other things too is elderly or late life depression, that we know now that when people are experiencing loss of their friends, loss of their families, as well as physical debilitation, stroke, cancer, arthritis, things that cause immobility, things that cause pain, that a lot of times it can trigger a depression for somebody who's never really had that before. And so they call you up, and maybe they don't say it. Maybe they don't say, I'm blue, because a lot of times people over 80 don't want to admit that. That might mean you're crazy. And they don't want to do that. They want to keep the skeletons in the closet, or think they need to pray more, or whatever. So how do you handle that when you suspect it?
Well, depression, like you said, it's a hard thing for a person to even admit to themselves, and it's got such a broad range to it. And
you can't take a blood test and say, oh, you're depressed.
Exactly.
It's got to be all oral history. Right.
And what we find is a lot of older people have experienced so much loss. You know, oftentimes the loss of their friends, the loss of their spouse perhaps, the loss of their siblings. So, you know, they're probably thinking, am I depressed, or is it just a normal state of my life? But we do try to screen them and try to find out what it is that's causing them to have these feelings of depression. And sometimes it is socialization that they need. They need to be around other people. It's very easy for an older person to get isolated. And that's where that senior center comes in so handy.
Right. Once they can't use the car anymore or whatever. I know with my own father, as he was slipping down into dementia, was eating bologna and Wonder Bread sandwiches, which that nutritional diet did nothing for his physical or mental health. I mean, it was very negative, actually. And so to give him access to good, nutritious meals really upped his health right away.
Yeah, and the Meals on Wheels program that we do.
Not only
does it provide a nutritious meal, but it provides that socialization, that friendly face that comes to your door every day and knocks on the door and say, lunch is here. And our Meals on Wheels delivery persons are they're wonderful people. Sometimes they'll go that extra yard and sit down and listen to the person's problems or concerns. So not only is it a meal, but it really does help the person get through the day.
And to remind the audience, last year we delivered almost 80,000 Meals on Wheels throughout the shore. That's all the counties, and including Smith Island, where we have a golf cart that helps deliver the meals. They're taken over by boat and some are prepared there. But we go to the far reaches of Somerset and Dorchester County. I know that I've been on many Meals on Wheels runs, and a lot of times when I'm feeling like, oh, the day is not going well for me or whatever, sometimes I just get in the truck and go out. And you really get a sense of your purpose of your own life, too.
You do.
To look at what you're doing to help somebody, to bring that meal to them, and to see their face light up, and they touch you.
Yes.
They grab you.
Sometimes it's the only face, the only person that they see all day.
Right. So as you get to talk to these people, you can assess whether this is what they need or other things, and all those other things.
Well, that's true. You know that Meals on Wheels delivery person is also another set of eyes in the house, so they can see, is the refrigerator empty, or is there bread on the table, so they can see different things. So that extra set of eyes is sometimes very helpful, because we do deal with a lot of remote areas. Sometimes people don't have close neighbors to keep an eye on them, or friends or relatives to stop by.
I know one house that I went to, a woman in her 90s had just gotten out of rehab, and she was in her house with a walker. And she said, I'm afraid to go outside because there were 3 steps down to the outside. And so she was literally trapped in her house. And because there was nobody to help her down, and she was just, again, very nervous about negotiating it. Because the reason she was in a walker in the first place is because she had fallen. And so there you go. There needs a ramp.
Exactly. And one of our partners at MAC is the Chesapeake Housing Mission, which is a nonprofit that helps people get ramps. And they are just fantastic. So if she were to call Maryland Access Point, we could try to link her up with Chesapeake Housing Mission, and get her out of the house in a safe way.
Exactly.
And once you fall, your fear of falling really increases. So that just adds to your isolation.
Yeah. And I know we've also, with home visitations that we've been, you walk in a house and you just sort of scan the house, and you can see almost immediately how it's a fall obstacle course, throw rugs that are loose.
Yes. Animals, small cats, dogs, puppies, and it's wonderful that they have them. Flip-flops.
I mean, they're sitting, an 80-year-old in a flip-flop, and you're just saying, this is an accident waiting to happen.
Exactly. Or something is spilled on the floor and they can't get down to wipe it up. And before you know it, they're slipping in it.
Yes, and I know that a lot of people don't want to get rid of their animals, but they just have to be so cognizant of what that animal can do. I know myself, I'm a cat lover, and there's a lot of cats are under my feet, waiting to be fed or whatever. So you do, not you necessarily, but MAC does home assessments to look at those obstacles.
Yes.
And to help people. Because if an elderly person falls, it's really the beginning of the end. Falls kill.
It can be, definitely. And like I said, that fear of falls, if a person's isolated already and then they fall, that would enable them to be almost afraid to leave the house again because of that fear of falling. So the falls prevention classes that are offered at MAC are really phenomenal, and they've been proven to work.
So they call you up and they get your warm voice, and it's already like a friend talking to them. Tell me your story. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me this or that. And as you assess all this, physical, emotional, intellectual, social, all those things, then you come up and you can formulate some sort of plan for them. We
do. We use a written form if they want to, so we can write on the form some of their what their goals are and what the steps are to reach those goals. Now they don't have to do that. It doesn't have to be written, but a lot of times it helps a person really formulate what the goals are. For instance, if a person comes in and really wants to move into an apartment, a senior apartment, we'll list the different steps that they can make that happen.
And
call the different places. Right. Assess your financial situation. Can you afford this? If you're living in your own home, what are your plans? Put the house on the market, rent it out. Just what are all of your different options? Sometimes people just don't realize they have options, and they think, I have to do this. This is the only thing left for me to do. But really, everybody has options.
Or I have to be hard of hearing, or I have to be almost blind. No.
No.
Right.
There's many things out there that can help.
them.
That can help.
Right.
And with MAP, we'll really try to assess the person individually and help them come up with their goal for what they want in life, and let them make an informed decision so that they're not waiting for an accident to happen and then they've got to make some kind of an immediate decision in stress.
Yes, exactly. So Terry, the final thing is up on the screen is all the numbers for people to call and the Maryland access points. Will you tell us about that? So you take most Wycomico County, right?
Right, Wycomico County. As I mentioned before, there is a MAP site in each county, and there's a toll-free number through the state of Maryland, and it's 1-844-627-5465 or 1-844-MAP-LINK.
Okay.
And if you call
that's on the screen now.
And if you call that number, you'll be linked up to the person in the county that you're looking for.
I've been to that link, and it's very easy.
It's very
easy
simple.
too. And if the older person doesn't have a computer, they can go to the library and look it up, or go to one of their kids or grandkids, of course. And it just shows again what options counseling is all about, and that Maryland is really a friendly state in terms of trying to help an elderly person age in their home. So whether you are in Somerset, Dorchester, Worcester County, or whatever, there are places to call. Go to the website, call MAC, call Terry.
Can I put our phone number locally in there too,
Yes.
Carolyn? At MAC, our Maryland Access Point number is 410-742-0505. So please give us a call.
Right. And you're under no obligation to do what she says, although there are going to be many options for you to think about. You can call 2 or 3 times, and it doesn't cost anything. It's a service that your tax dollars are paying for, because we want older persons to stay independent, to lead dignified lives for as long as they can, and this service really helps them. So if you're having any kind of difficulty in the home situation or whatever, please give Terry a call. Thank you, Terry, for being with us today, and thank you all for listening. Have a good day.